YSK caffeine addiction is real and much more common than you think. YSK Many of us are likely addicted to caffeine and most of us don't know about it. Understanding the effects that caffeine and caffeine addiction has on our bodies helps us make more informed decisions about our health. Our bodies can become tolerant and addicted to caffeine in as little as 3 days. This means that morning coffee you have on day 4 isn't doing anything for you. When you don't have this morning coffee, you become tired due to withdrawal. This makes you have a coffee thinking it's helping, but the tiredness is caused by the caffeine withdrawal. Having the coffee then returns you to baseline. We then have more caffeine to try get that initial buzz, but then after a few more days we are tolerant to this too. It's a vicious cycle. Even if you drink just 1-2 cups a day, you are likely addicted and will experience withdrawal if you stop. Caffeine withdrawal symptoms can include but are not limited to fatigue, poor concentration, poor sleep, anxiety, depression, mood swings, headaches, nausea. Caffeine withdrawal can begin within 12 hours from your last caffeinated drink and can last up to 9-10 days. I recently went through this experience and it was mind-blowing. I became really depressed, even tearful some days, had no motivation, was extremely tired and ate loads of junk food. But having come through the other side, my energy levels are better than they were pre-caffeine. My sleep quality is tons better and my mood is better too. I'm not saying we should never use caffeine, but we should consider using it more intermittently to actually give us a boost and then we don't become dependent. If you don't want to go cold turkey, consider the following ideas for cutting down and building better habits. No caffeine 8 hours before bed. People don't realize how long it stays in your system and you may think it's not affecting your sleep having a 5 p.m. coffee, but it is. You may get to sleep, but your quality of sleep will be disrupted, meaning you wake up feeling less rested. Consider switching some of your coffees for decaf. This means you can cut down your caffeine intake while still getting to feel like you're having a coffee. Think placebo. Consider cutting out your morning coffee. It's useless. We get a natural energy spike shortly after waking up and the coffee really isn't necessary. Caffeine addiction is incredibly common and people can make their own choices, but when I speak to people about this, it seems that many people do not understand the effects of regular caffeine use. Having this information might help people make more informed decisions and build positive habits. Alrighty. So as long as I keep a steady stream coming into my body, I should be good. Caffeine. For me, it was actually subconscious self-medication. Turns out I was leaking spinal fluid, and the only remedy to stimulate cerebrospinal fluid production is caffeine apparently. Which explains why I suddenly felt like drinking coffee or cola so often and why it made me feel so much better. My neurologist and other doctors recommended it even. Caffeine withdrawal symptoms can include but are not limited to your shits will be less fun. Yeah, if I don't have some kind of caffeine after 24 hours I get gnarly headaches. But without it I lose focus very easily and am overall just like Blair. Then I have something with caffeine and all is right in my world. I switched to decaf coffee 3.5 years ago and my baseline anxiety went from a solid 7-10 daily to 2-10. And I was only drinking 1-2 cups a day before. It was life-changing. Now if I do drink caffeine, it actually gives me the energy and alertness it's Supposed to. Rather than bringing me up to a baseline of life and then dumping me into anxiety. I couldn't recommend it more. Till people didn't know caffeine addiction was real lol. Guess I'll switch to cocaine. I recently switched to 50/50 Reg decaf. I'm lucky enough to buy beans directly from a roaster, so they mix them for me. It's a bit more expensive to get quality decaf. But the net result is you'll likely not notice much of a difference. Then boom. Caffeine intake cut by 50 instantly. Just because it is addictive does not mean it cannot have a positive effect overall. Caffeine has real effects on concentration and performance that are not merely due to mitigating withdrawal. The same applies to caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, and all the other drugs. Each person has to calculate whether the overall benefits outweigh the overall negatives. Admittedly, this is hard to do with an addictive substance, as the addiction can fool us into thinking the benefits are greater than they really are, and the negatives smaller. Growing up, hearing people say things like "don't talk to me until I've had my coffee," or basically talking about how essential coffee was to their day, was the only red flag I needed to stay away from. Caffeine. Quit caffeine after being a strong user and I have improved sleep, lowered anxiety, and managed panic attacks. Caffeine isn't for everyone. Drink an appropriate amount of coffee. Black coffee provides a good amount of potassium and antioxidants with very few calories. Some studies have suggested that coffee can support weight management and brain health, and can reduce the risk of developing diabetes, neurologic disease like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and depression. If you choose to eliminate or cut back on caffeine, do so gradually. Going cold turkey for caffeine produces discomfort. There are some studies that suggest drinking 2-3 cups of coffee a day can protect your cognitive abilities as you age. I've heard this many times before. What I don't understand is that it doesn't really affect me. I drink 3 strong espressos in the morning and 2 after I get home from work. If I don't have coffee for whatever reason, I get by just fine. What I do notice is that I feel groggy longer after waking up. Dependency addiction. Addiction also has negative social and physical connotations. You're not going to lose your job or your family because of caffeine. Your psychological and physical health aren't impacted by caffeine. If there was ever a wonder drug, caffeine is it. Its utility far outweighs its downsides, which seems to only be diminishing returns and mild withdrawal. Me and my fiancé are on day 6 of no caffeine, and it's only just now starting to be tolerable. The headaches are severe and relentless for like a week. The worst part for me is the brain fog. I legit can barely keep a conversation for like 20 seconds. Without caffeine, I legitimately feel like I have lethargic ADD. It's no joke. This experience has truly shown me how addicted I really am. I can't wait to at least have a cup of coffee again though. Cut out caffeine 3 weeks ago, and it's done wonders for my anxiety, sleep, mood, energy levels. I feel like a completely different person. This is so badly written and inaccurate. Start by examining the difference between dependence and addiction. Some people may have a relationship with caffeine that could be described as addiction. But for most people, the tolerance and other effects is better described as dependence. Is it bad that I take 1 cup of coffee as the first thing in the morning to help me poop? Just plain hot espresso to pipe down my latte. I have been doing this thing from the past 2 years.